Hi guys, I just want to talk to you today about how I think that the plagues of God that were given to Moses during the time of Exodus are going to be coming at the first passing of the throne. Now I might have said it in my previous videos sometime or multiple times that we know that in the end of the age, the plagues of God that were given to Moses and Elijah, these two candlesticks, the powers that were given to Moses, like turning waters into blood and bringing all sorts of plagues upon the dry ground, and the plagues of Elijah, like stopping the rain so it doesn't rain according to his word, and bringing fire down from heaven to consume his enemies. Now, we know both of these are coming in the end of the age, even for 3.5 years, when the two witnesses are given their power to go out and preach, running in tandem with the kingdom of the Antichrist and of the false prophet. Now, that's 3.5 years before the second passing of the throne at the very end of the age. Now, I believe, and I've probably said this before, is that I think that God will bring that power before the first passing of the throne. Even if it's just for like the 40 days of the seals. So the power like was given to Moses, maybe to strike the waters, to turn them into blood, and also bring plagues upon the dry ground. Now I believe that that will be coming even before the first passing of the throne. But this is more of like on a bigger scale that I was thinking of. So I was watching the Moses movie the other day, really good quality version of it. I was watching the Moses movie the other day, and how the plagues happened before the passing of the throne, which happened on Passover. But all the plagues came before Passover. All right. Now, some of the plagues are actually the trumpet judgments. All right. So you've got like the 3 days of darkness is the obvious one. That is trumpet number 4. 3 days and 3 nights of darkness, where the sun, the moon, the stars, they all go out for 3 days and 3 nights. There's also a trumpet judgment. It's not mentioned as the plagues, but it is mentioned in that part of the Bible, and that's where the waters become Mara, wormwood, and they couldn't drink them because the waters have become bitter. Well, that's trumpet. That's trumpet number 3, the Black Death, if you like. Coming and poisoning the water supply, and it says Moses went to the water. They couldn't drink of the water because it was Mara. But Moses took a log and he threw it into the water and made it sweet again, so it wasn't Black Death anymore. But yeah, some of the plagues are like the trumpet judgments, and the hail. If you look at that as being fiery hail coming down and destroying the crops, then that would also be trumpet number 1. the destruction of the crops through this hail. Now, whether it be fiery hail or whether it be hailstones, because I was listening to the scripture and it mentioned that there were thunders, the thunders and the hail. So that seems to me that maybe it was a hailstone storm in the desert. And so yeah, but I was thinking that maybe all these things are going to come upon the UK before the first passing of the throne. Now, some of these things are like easy to happen in the UK, like some of the plagues of Moses, like for instance, the red tide. All right, the first plague. I mean, I don't know them all like in order or. You know, so I believe the first one is turning the waters into blood and all the fishes die. Well, that has happened. It's called algae plume or red tide. We've even had it here in the Conway estuary, which is not a full fresh water, it's a mixture of salt and fresh. But we've had it in the Conway estuary where the water turned blood red, that people were reported, but then fish washed up dead. And that's because the algae plume takes the oxygen out of the water and the fish die. But that's what one of the plagues was. In fact, that was the first plague, wasn't it? And then the second plague, frogs coming up, plague of frogs coming out of the water. Kind of fitting, isn't it? Was that the cause of? I don't know, a result of, or whatever. But the frogs come out of the water where they're supposed to be, in the water, in the swamps, and they come out. So they come out into like toilet systems and into people's houses. And they just like go everywhere. So that's the other plague. And can that happen in the UK? Yes. And what I was thinking the other day, I mean, I remember, you know, I'm not an expert on frogs, and maybe I should have been before I made this video, but I remember seeing someone not too long ago, maybe a month or maybe even 2 months ago, and he was talking about going up to this lake here, the one that I usually post about. And going up there and seeing if he could see any frog spawn, he said. So I assume he means like the baby frogs. So at this stage, I know, a month or two ago, the frogs would still be at a baby stage. I imagine the time of year for frogs to be mature and big and thriving would probably be in the summertime. All right, because there's a big problem here, is that where the UK is concerned, I mean, the UK and Egypt are just two separate beasts, aren't they? I mean, Egypt is hot, dry, and like desert, and obviously Israel is right next to the desert. It's part of Israel is desert. I mean, Israel might be a bit green now, but it's literally on the desert. And these locusts come into Israel, by the way, during Passover feast. Well, that's springtime. Now, it's a total different beast. I mean, for the UK to have locusts or flies or anything like this, really, in the springtime, it's not possible. It's absolutely not possible. And in fact, when it came to the locusts plague, I typed in like locust UK, and we don't even get locusts in the UK. All right, we don't even get locusts in the UK, and I looked into it a bit more, and yes, they are predominantly actually more of a desert species. they kind of more around desert where there are no plants or animal plants and stuff, but they're more of a desert around a desert species. So you don't get much of them in like UK, Europe even. But here's the thing: it is possible to get locust, and in fact I believe they were called African locust, or they were called Egyptian locusts. It has happened where Britain has had the Egyptian locusts, or African locusts, whatever they're called, come into the country. All right, so it said that the UK is too cold and it's too wet for locusts to even be here. Because, yeah, I believe in God and I believe in miracles of God. But then again, just like the trumpet judgments, they're all physically like the red tide. Trumpet number 2, La Palma, collapses in the sea and sends a mega tsunami across the Atlantic. Is that it sends a third part of the sea, which is the third sea, probably the Atlantic Ocean. It sends it red, turns it red. Now that is again algae plume. A red tide, but in the sea. Now, how it works is the nitrogen from the volcanoes drops into the sea and it causes this red tide, and then the fishes of the ocean die as well. All right, so that's where that physical side of trumpet number 2 comes from, that a third part of the sea turned red. The third part of the sea, which is the Atlantic Ocean, it'll be in that case, turns red and the fishes die. And the physical explanation of that is red tide. So I believe in God and I believe in the miracles of God, but I when it comes to the trumpet judgments, they're all explainable and rational. And when it comes, the bowl judgments, they're totally supernatural. All the rivers turn blood all at the same time. All the seas turn to blood all at the same time. Everything that's in them dies. That is supernatural. But as far as the trumpet and the plagues of Egypt go, the plagues that were on Egypt during the time of my father Moses, during Exodus, these have to be some sort of explainable, I should say. They should be explainable. And here's the thing is, for me to say, I believe that the plagues of Egypt are going to happen on the UK before the throne hits the earth, the only way that is possible is that if it be summer. Now, when them locusts come into the UK, it was summer. It was August or September. So it was that summertime. So for the possibility for us to get locusts to come across from Europe, come across from Africa, it would have to be hot and dry and for a wind. But it's totally possible. Like when I was talking about a drought happening before the first passing of the throne, that's the same exact thing. Hot and dry, all right, and then a wind to bring them. The clockwise rotation of a high pressure. I mean, if it was to sit on the right hand side of the UK or to the right at the bottom of the UK and to swirl like this, it would literally bring winds up from Africa, and it would literally have them a passage, or the winds would bring them up from Africa to the UK. During a very hot time. But here's the point: is it would have to be summer. I know, you know, the way I'm looking at things, you know, through prophecy of World War again. We go back to that capstone of World War being in June, well, starting in June 28th through like July 15th. You know, for this to be the seals at least happening, and then the passing of the throne being like at the end of July. So this would be entirely possible, in my view, in July. All right, or, you know, if I'm wrong about the whole World War thing, which I don't believe I am, or it's extended by a certain amount of time, then okay, but then we're into August or September. But what I'm trying to say is that it is totally possible for the plagues of Egypt to happen before the first passing of the throne, and if that passing is at the end of July, then it's totally possible for these physical things to happen on the earth. And like I say, the plagues of Egypt, they're mostly all explainable. All right, so like I say, you got the red tide, which is algae plume. All right, which has even happened here. No one can maybe tell you why. All right, and then you got the frogs that came out, and then you had what was it? The gnats, the flies. All right, which all possible in summertime in the UK, gnats and flies. Oh man, I remember when I was younger, I don't know what year it was, maybe it was about 94ish, you know, and 94 around that time was a bit of a strange time as well, for stuff happening on the earth. But I remember, man, like there used to be swarms of midges and stuff, and they used to go all over the park, right? I remember it so bad. It was so bad that we had to go indoors and like we had to go indoors. I mean, it was predominantly, I think, on the park. It wasn't a case of like literally coming through the house, but swarms of midges. I've seen that. I've seen swarms of like flying ants. I've seen that. And there's another plague that happened as well. There was a Bilderberg meeting in London. I think it was in London. I'm pretty sure it was in London. One of the cities in London. And on the very day, listen to this, God sent, he filled these streets in the city full of caterpillars. There were caterpillars all over the trees. They were all over the cars, from what I remember. I mean, it was some years ago. I think it was around 2013 or 14. I'll research it and you can see for yourself. He just filled the whole place with caterpillars on the very day the Bilderbergers, the world leaders, particularly the banking industry, you know, like Rockefellers, Rothschilds and stuff like that. He filled the place with caterpillars on the very day they were having their meeting. So, just by that, you can believe that God is in control, God is listening, and God is not no mistake or anything like that. He filled the place with caterpillars. I mean, he could do it again. There was one part of the when I was researching it, it did say that the flies it could be flies or it could be something else. So you had the red tide, you had the frogs, you had the gnats, you had the flies, you had and then there was like a strike on the cattle as well. So then a strike on cattle, like disease on cattle. I mean, it happens all the time, doesn't it? Not like BSE or anything like that, but yeah, where cattle fall. It could be any cattle. It could be horses. It could be cattle, but it's a strike on like the cattle, and obviously that can happen. I mean, UK have got plenty of cattle, and then was it one of the sore boils upon people? Now this is more supernatural. Now this is more like, and this is where the Egyptians are getting to the point where, oh, this isn't no magic trick now. This is God. This is God, and like sore boils upon people. Just like the bowl judgments when they're poured out, everyone who took the mark of the beast had the sore boils on them. And then the great hail coming, whether that be hailstones, of course that can always happen in the summer anyway, because when you have that super sort of high pressure and you have the heat, it can literally it can more like it can like dry out the heat so bad. Like hailstones in summer, I mean, it's totally possible as well, especially in the UK anyway. We're so close to the northern hemisphere, we're so close to the northern portals. It'd be so easy for God to open up that northern portal, and for the high pressure to be around the UK so strong, and the northern portal brings hail down, and it probably, it could fall as actual ice hail rather than meteorites. But I mentioned it before that even saying like one of the late warning signs of the throne hitting the earth would actually be fiery hail, meteorites falling in more frequency. Well, maybe during that plague again, it may just be a case of like the UK would just get hit by a sort of meteorite shower, if you like, but actual falling to the ground and burning stuff up. So that's entirely possible. And again, like the darkness over the earth, I mean, that is a trumpet judgment, but that's when the sun and the moon actually go out. That is a trumpet judgment. But I mean, God could do that again. He could darken the UK, I mean, with cloud. Or another thing I was thinking of, if the Icelandic volcano was to erupt, I mean, one big bang eruption, and the prevailing winds bring the ash cloud down to pass over the UK, which it has done before, and in fact it downed all the airplanes. I mean, that could be a darkness coming over the UK in itself. Do you know what I mean? So these are the things that are totally possible. But then there's the supernatural side of the death of the firstborn. So the death of the firstborn, it said children, and like even to Pharaoh, which in that case, at the time of the seals, would actually be Prince William would be head Pharaoh. In fact, he is that head of the Illuminati. Horus, who'll be the one-eyed Antichrist. Horus, who'll be the one-eyed Antichrist. Is William. So when William replaces his father Charles on the top of the pyramid, all right, the Queen was the top of the pyramid. Now I guess Charles is the top of the pyramid, all right, as ownership. But when Charles gives it to William, and William sits as that power strength of the royal family and NATO and everything else, then that is kind of like mission complete. He is the one-eye Horus that was supposed to sit at the top of the pyramid, all right? He is that one man who's supposed to rule over everything, all right? King William V. And so, yeah, he will be the Pharaoh, the chief Pharaoh in that time. So maybe even the firstborn of that. I mean, that is the supernatural power of God in that case. The firstborn of these Pharaohs, these Egyptians, the firstborn of them was slain, but not the Jews. I mean, it's happened before though. I mean, during the Black Death, which is one of the trumpet judgments. Yeah, like I said, the Mara. During the Black Death, the Europeans actually said it must be it must be the fault of these Jews, like. Because none of these Jews are dying from the Black Death, but all these Europeans are. And then they were like, well, we need to get rid of these Jews out of Europe. Like, do you know what I mean? It's a bit like that. It's a bit like that, man. Oh, man, I didn't even think about that. The Black Death struck it as one of the plagues that was in Egypt. And like the Pharaoh said, get out of Europe, go to America. Wow, I didn't even think about that. Yeah, so yeah, I believe all these things will come again. But I mean, will it be a time of let my people go? Because I was thinking about this, and it's like, well, I mean, we all are slaves. The Illuminati have slaved the people, them being the rich and us being the little people. The taxes they put on us is ridiculous. You know, they are have made us literally slaves to them. All right. But during this time, though, if this does come to pass, what I'm trying to say is about these plagues of Moses, the plagues of God, through Moses, happening just before the first passing of the throne. In fact, like the 40 days, is there going to be some people to bring out of enslavement? Like I can say to the people, come out and come up to. Get into the mountains before the throne hits the earth, because when the throne of God, Nibiru, hits the earth, it's an extinction level event. prophesied for the UK to sink. Even like Ali Drew, it talked about the sea level coming in 20 meters plus. Even I've been talking 40 for the past years. So the UK is going down, and I can say to the people, like, get into the mountains or get into the high places before the throne of God hits at the sixth seal. But does it go deeper than that? I mean, I was thinking, like, are there like Jews or Jewish bloodline people, which is like White West, and they're like, we hate the Jews and stuff, but it's like they don't realize that their bloodline which they came from, is probably of Jewish descent. They are probably of Jewish descent, and they don't know it. Just because they haven't been circumcised or they don't practice Judaism, it does not mean that they're not of the Jewish descent. Or the children of Israel. Because you know that all 144,000, when they are sealed on the foreheads and to serve God through the tribulation, right? Do you know we are actually the bloodline of Israel? But we believe in Jesus. But all them Jews that you see throughout the world and in Israel and follow that Judaism, yeah, do not believe in Jesus, yeah. Well, the thing is that the 144,000 do believe in Jesus, and they are the bloodline of, like me. You look at me, you don't think I'm Jewish because I don't wear a funny hat or, stuff like that. But the 144,000 are the children of Israel. They're the descendants of Israel. They're what you could call Jews, but they believe in Jesus, all right? So, I mean, what I was thinking of the other day is like, is it a case of let my people go, like, incarcerated? Yeah. What, we American? Like in prison, like in prisons. Because when the throne of God hits an extinction level event, people in prisons have got no chance. And how do they find their salvation if there's no one to go in there and, preach to them? And if you've got separate prisons, you've got separate wings. I mean, how are you supposed to reach people that are in prison? So I was thinking, just watching the Moses films, like, let my people go. I'm like thinking, who is really in prison of Jewish bloodline that might be need free? And I was thinking, maybe all the people that are in prison now, that are locked in there, it's literally going to be a tomb for when the throne comes and they haven't been saved. And they go down with the ship or the UK, and they're in an area where it's going to go underneath the sea, then they're gone without salvation. They had no chance. Do you know what I mean? They had no one to preach them. I know that's the thing of the world, but at least people out of out here can hear the message. So I was thinking, wouldn't it be like a case of let my people go from the prisons? I mean, as crazy as that might sound, it's like let my people out of the prisons, so at least they've got a fighting chance. They've got the freedom to say yay or nay, or I'm staying in the city, don't believe in your God, or oh yes, I believe in, this is the tribulation, I'm going up to the mountains. Do you know what I mean? So I was thinking, maybe that part of it is like let my people go out of prisons so that they may go and serve me in the wilderness. In fact, there's the words. Let my people go out of prison, out of bondage, so out of the prisons though, so they may go and serve me in the wilderness. Now that sounds ridiculous, and you may think no one's ever gonna just open the doors and say, go on, you're free, go. You know, you got murderers or rapists or whatever just going free. I mean, you got them going free anyway. Do you know what I mean? You got rapists and you know, people assaulting, you got murderers and stuff going free anyway from court. So I mean, what's the difference? But yeah, the thing is, you might say, well, that sounds mental, but I mean, they're literally going to be sitting ducks in prisons anyway. Do you know what I mean? And Pharaoh, yeah, he said, no, I'm not doing that. No, I'm not doing that. No, I'm not doing that. 9 times, isn't it? But then after the firstborns are killed, then they said, let your people go. Open the doors, open the gates. They're not imprisoned. They're not enslaved anymore. Let them go. So, as crazy as that might sound, you know, maybe something like that would happen. Let my people go, even out of prison, so they may go and serve me or get saved in the wilderness of the mountains. And yeah, as crazy as that might sound, they may say, okay, open the doors, let them go. Maybe that's a part of it as well. So yeah, I just thought I'd make a video sharing about how I thought the 10 plagues are going to come before the first passing of the throne, and maybe the cry out will go, let my people go, even from prison, so they may have a fighting chance of surviving in the wilderness of the mountains. Oh, and by the way, these top Illuminati people, I mean the top people, probably all the high court judges as well, actually, they know about this coming, and they will be going away to hide in underground facilities. And in fact, they want commotion. They want a smoke screen so that they can disappear off into the mountains and nobody can see them going. Do you know what I mean? Like going off into the wilderness, like of Geneva. And staying there for the first passing. They know this is coming. So maybe it doesn't seem so far-fetched that they might say, actually, yeah, go on, let them all go, like that. Out of the prisons, even. So yeah, that's what I thought anyway. Please pray God and ask Him to forgive you of your sins in Jesus' precious name, because the time is short. God bless you all. I've been Pastor Prophet Justin Roberts from End of the Age Bible Prophecy. God bless you all in Jesus' mighty name. Amen.